Aren't you going to say hello? Oh, come on, bucko. Don't you want a balloon?
Released in 1990, the It miniseries immediately became a television phenomenon, astonishing audiences with the terrifying portrayal of Pennywise the Clown by Tim Curry. This two-part television adaptation not only stayed faithful to Stephen King's classic novel, but also left a lasting impression with its tense, storytelling, haunting atmosphere and chilling scenes that kept viewers on the edge of their seats. Images of Pennywise devouring young Georgie and the Losers Club confronting this supernatural entity have been etched into the minds of millions, cementing him as a timeless horror icon.
Get your pick, Billy boy.
Beyond the gripping main story, the 1990 miniseries hides countless fascinating behind-the-scenes secrets. Tim Curry had to sit for over 3 hours each day to perfect the Pennywise makeup, and his very presence was enough to terrify the young actors. A particularly memorable scene featuring a giant spider cost $200,000 but was criticized by Stephen King as a disaster, while the series itself drew nearly 20 million households when it aired. So what mysterious details truly make Pennywise and the 1990 It miniseries irresistibly captivating? Let's uncover 20 surprising facts in today's video. 20. Alice Cooper was considered for Pennywise. Initially, the adaptation of Stephen King's It was entrusted to George A. Romero, the renowned director of Night of the Living Dead, who had collaborated with King on the Creepshow 1982 anthology. Romero planned an almost 8-hour format to maintain the scale and depth of the book. However, ABC only approved a limited 4-hour version, prompting Romero to withdraw, feeling the format too short to convey the full story. This decision led to director Tommy Lee Wallace, who had directed Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, being invited to take over the project. During casting for Pennywise, Wallace and the crew considered many prominent names. Malcolm McDowell and Roddy McDowell were both considered, and musician Alice Cooper was also on the shortlist. The director aimed to find an actor who was both haunting and compelling, making Pennywise an unforgettable scary clown, rather than a friendly or overly intellectual performer. Ultimately, Tim Curry was chosen for his impressive performance in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, demonstrating the ability to blend charm with fright-fitting Pennywise's complex nature. 19. The program's extraordinary success. The It miniseries aired on ABC over 2 nights, Part 1 on November 18, 1990, and Part 2 on November 20, 1990. Despite the first night being interrupted by news about President George H.W. Bush's overseas trip, Part 1 still drew approximately 17.5 million households. Part 2 reached an even higher 19.2 million households, becoming the most recorded program on VCRs in November 1990. In total, nearly 30 million viewers watched the 2-night broadcast, making it ABC's most successful program of 1990. Professionally, the film also received significant recognition. Richard Bellis won an Emmy for Outstanding Achievement in Music Composition, while the editing team received the Eddie Award for Best Edited Television Work on a Miniseries. Additionally, the film was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Editing for a single-camera miniseries or special, though it did not win, and was nominated for a People's Choice Award for Favourite TV Miniseries. The child actors were also acknowledged. Brandon Crane, who played young Ben Hanscom, received a Youth in Film Award nomination, although he lost to Stephen Dorff. These nominations and awards show that the miniseries was successful not only in viewership, but also appreciated by professionals, particularly for music editing and child performances. Beyond ratings and awards. It drew attention from critics and prestigious magazines. The New York Observer ranked the miniseries as Stephen King's scariest adaptation. Still, both audiences and critics agreed on the strong sense of dread and the horror the series delivered, making it a television horror icon of the 1990s. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts. 18. The film was originally planned to have 10 episodes. When George A. Romero was invited to direct, the initial idea was to create a 10-episode series aiming to fully explore Stephen King's massive novel. With over 100 pages, it contains countless subplots and character depth, and Romero, with the screenwriters, developed detailed breakdowns for each character and story arc to ensure fidelity to the original. This approach was initially supported by ABC, promising a complete and engaging adaptation, balancing focus on the Losers Club as children and as adults. However, as ABC considered production costs and the dark tone of the content, the plan was gradually reduced from 10 episodes to 8, then 6. Romero felt excessive cuts would compromise the depth and spirit of the novel, so he chose to withdraw from the project. Romero's departure opened the way for director Tommy Lee Wallace to take over, with the final plan being 2 broadcast parts, each about 96 minutes, balancing television needs and the originally complex story. 17. There is a different Pennywise you've never seen. Although Tim Curry and Bill Skarsgård are commonly cited as the only actors to portray Pennywise on screen, few know that the villainous clown also appeared in a completely different version, Woe, a 52-episode Indian TV series from 1998. In this version, Pennywise was played by dwarf actor M. Farooqui, and the setting was relocated from Derry, Maine to Panchgani, India. Screenwriters and directors Ankush Mohla and Glenn Barretto had not even read Stephen King's original novel. They were only inspired by the book's summary and freely created the story in their own way. Unlike the original, Woe was not the embodiment of all evil in the town, but a man mocked for his height who committed suicide and returned as a ghost to seek revenge. The story also changed. Georgie dies in a swimming pool rather than a sewer, and many details were adapted to Indian cultural contexts. This creative freedom made Woe a strange version, simultaneously familiar and alien, reflecting fear and ostracism in its own societal context. Have you ever watched this Indian version? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 16. Some scenes were cut. To comply with television censorship standards, many scenes in it were trimmed or altered compared to Stephen King's original novel. Most notably, sensitive scenes involving the child members of the Losers Club and Beverly in the sewer, which represented bonding and coming of age in the book, were completely removed. Instead, the TV version focused on friendship and emotional connections in an abstract way, preserving meaning without violating viewer age limits. Additionally, violent details were significantly reduced. For example, the Losers Club forming a blood-packed scene was filmed, but altered blood only came from objects like sinks rather than from the body to avoid overly gruesome imagery. Many subplots about the adult characters' personal lives or Derry's dark past were also cut or shortened to fit the 2-part broadcast. 15. The spider monster was criticised despite a $200,000 investment. In the final scene of It 1990, the ultimate monster was portrayed as a giant spider. The special effects team spent about $200,000 to create this model, weighing 500 pounds and requiring 7 people to control each part from legs to head and deadlights details. The construction took over 13 weeks, aiming to create a fearsome muscular monster capable of haunting audiences like in King's novel. However, the result fell short. Stephen King described the spider in the final cut as 3 Chevy headlights under a wheelbarrow, reflecting disappointment in its shape and lack of horror. Director Tommy Lee Wallace admitted that upon seeing the scene on screen, he thought, "Oh gee, a spider," after all, that indicating the team realised the spider was not as terrifying as intended. Due to technical limitations and the level of scariness, the spider scene was shortened for broadcast. 14. Pennywise had more diverse designs. In Stephen King's novel, it can transform into dozens, even hundreds of different forms. However, in the 1990 miniseries, Pennywise's forms were reduced to about 5 main shapes: the clown, Kirsch, the old woman with rotting teeth, Ben's deceased father, a werewolf, and the giant spider. This choice focused on the clown image as a unifying symbol, making it easy for audiences to recognise while retaining the latent horror the character conveys. The design process of Pennywise was a continuous experiment. Makeup artist Bart Mixon created many clay head models and conducted countless trials to find a look that was both charming and terrifying for Tim Curry. At times, they even considered making Pennywise a decaying corpse with white eyes and an oversized head. But ultimately, the team chose a more subtle approach. The original clown appeared friendly, approachable, and familiar, creating the perfect contrast when he revealed his vicious nature. Behind the scenes also revealed many fun moments. Curry relaxing on the porch, smoking, or playing with the child actors, holding Mad Magazine, while the crew continued experimenting with different designs. Which image of Pennywise impressed you the most in the film? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 13. The clown image genuinely scared actors. According to the DVD commentary, Curry became too scary, causing actors and staff to avoid him whenever he sat in the makeup chair. Many child actors, including Emily Perkins, recalled that Curry deliberately maintained distance, only offering a twisted smile or glancing at them with sharp teeth, creating a genuinely intimidating atmosphere. Thanks to this tactic, when filming began, the panic-stricken looks, screams, and terrified reactions on screen were entirely authentic, not staged. 12. The arch-enemy is the turtle. The turtle, also called Maturin, is an ancient entity existing outside normal time and space, representing good and cosmic order. The turtle is considered the counterpart to Pennywise, who embodies evil and chaos. When Bill Denbrough travels through the Macroverse, in the story he encounters the turtle and receives advice on dealing with Pennywise, also realizing that Pennywise's real power comes not from physical strength, but from human fear. However, in screen adaptations, including the 1990 miniseries, the turtle does not appear directly. Filmmakers only retained subtle hints or small symbols, such as in It. Chapter 2, 2019, which references a route called Marturin, suggesting the turtle, but no scene explicitly shows this entity. Omitting the turtle reflects the complexity of King's universe and the time constraints of the film. 11. Child actors met adult actors despite no shared scenes. A fact is that the child actors were given the chance to meet the adult versions of their characters, even though the two groups never appeared together in the same scene. Director Tommy Lee Wallace explained that this was a deliberate decision to ensure consistency in character portrayal. We decided to bring the adult and child actors together for a few days, even though it was expensive, because the adults and kids had no scenes together. This allowed them to exchange and synchronize small gestures and actions, so audiences could feel continuity between past and present. A notable example is Brandon Crane, who played young Ben Hanscom. He met John Ritter, who played adult Ben, to align behaviour details like nail-biting or certain speech patterns. Crane shared the director, "Introduced me to John Ritter, said, 'Hey, why don't you two meet and see if anything can help you connect more? Find a few gestures.' And in the end, we decided to bite nails for one thing, and a few lines of dialogue too. Because the two actors had different appearances, discovering these small details was even more important to make it feel like they were the same character 30 years apart. 10. Pennywise is an alien entity. Many fans never knew that Pennywise is not just a demonic clown or a giant spider. In reality, he is an ancient entity existing outside normal space, present even before the Earth formed as humans know it, originating from another dimension called the Macroverse. It has infinite shape-shifting abilities appearing in the form that victims fear most, and its main goal is to feed on children's fear to survive. Every 27 to 30 years, it awakens from a long hibernation, spreading chaos and terror throughout the town of Derry. In the book's ending, it appears as a giant spider, but this is not its true form. Stephen King describes this shape as one that the human mind can comprehend. The entity itself exceeds human perception. Therefore, those who see Pennywise as a spider are only looking through the limited lens of their minds. Its true form is far more terrifying and mysterious. This explains why many 1990 miniseries viewers were disappointed that the final image was just a massive spider. They had expected an entity beyond imagination. 9. Pennywise's mysterious deadly lights. In fact, Pennywise's true form cannot be perceived by humans existing in a separate dimension called the Deadlights, or Deadly Lights. This is an infinite reality filled with blazing orange light. Anyone who looks directly into the Deadlights is driven to madness. Bill Denbrough, a member of the Losers Club, glimpses the Deadlights when staring into Pennywise's eyes, and describes it as an infinite creature made of dazzling light, making human perception of its world horrifying and powerless. In the television adaptation, the Deadlights are also represented through Pennywise's body, emphasizing that staring too long at him can cause a person to lose their sanity. Interestingly, Pennywise does not have a single name. While he calls himself Pennywise, the Dancing Clown, and the Losers Club calls him Pennywise, the novel hints at other names like the Eating World, the Consumer, and the Milkman. Pennywise even claims his real name is Robert Gray, with other nicknames like Bull Burn, but the essence of this entity remains beyond all names. 8. Pennywise's makeup was inspired by the Phantom. The design team invited specialist Bart Mixon, who drew inspiration from Lon Chaney in The Phantom of the Opera 1925, with an upturned nose, bald crown, and prominent cheekbones. The goal was to create a look that was both familiar and strange, making the character seem friendly, yet hiding underlying terror. Mixon's makeup used Pax paint and light pieces, limiting heavy prosthetics, allowing Curry to perform with flexibility. Features like yellow eyes, sharp teeth, and a bulging forehead were designed to emphasize that Pennywise is not entirely normal, yet still attractive to children with his clown appearance. Mixon said the character needed to feel like a living cartoon, initially friendly, but harboring deadly threats. The result was Curry's Pennywise becoming a horror icon with a cold smile, glowing yellow eyes, and a smooth white face that remains haunting. 7. Tim Curry hesitated to accept the role due to fear of long makeup sessions, even though it lasted 3 hours. Initially, Tim Curry was quite hesitant when invited to play Pennywise. His previous experience in Ridley Scott's Legend, where he spent over 6 hours in heavy prosthetic makeup each time, made Curry worry that the role of the demonic clown in it would be a similar challenge. However, director Tommy Lee Wallace and the crew persuaded him that the process would be reduced to about 3 hours a day. As a result, Curry agreed to the role, giving rise to one of the most iconic clown portrayals on television. The Pennywise makeup process was conducted with subtlety and creativity. Curry had to apply Pax paint and wear yellow contact lenses to create fierce eyes in intense scenes, but he opposed using too many heavy prosthetics. Pennywise's design aimed for a live-action cartoon feel, inspired by veteran actors like Lon Chaney in The Phantom of the Opera, combining bright colours and distinctive facial expressions, making the character both terrifying and lively. Due to the complex makeup, Curry often had the earliest call time on set, affectionately called by the crew as the first to arrive. What do you think of Curry's makeup? Is it impressive enough? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 6. Filming location in Canada. The entire It miniseries was filmed over about 3 summer months in 1990 in the Greater Vancouver area, British Columbia, Canada, rather than Derry, Maine, where the story takes place in the book. Locations such as Stanley Park, Beaver Lake and Bunsen Lake were used to recreate Derry with dense forest lakes and small-town architecture. Canada was chosen for suitable landscapes, lower production costs, and British Columbia's film incentives, helping the production team manage the budget effectively for a large project like It. Most supporting and background actors were Canadian, leveraging local talent to save costs and logistics. Only a few foreign actors such as Olivia Hussey and Michael Cole were brought in. 5. He possesses a terrifying array of superpowers. Pennywise has nearly infinite shape-shifting abilities, transforming into anything the victim fears most to attract and control them. These forms can be bizarre creatures, deceased loved ones, or manifestations of deep-seated fears making victims believe everything is real. Along with shape-shifting, he creates powerful illusions, distorting reality to produce horrifying scenes from abnormal blood flow, falling eyeballs to creatures appearing from invisible spaces. Beyond shape-shifting and illusions, Pennywise possesses other supernatural abilities. He can read human fears, memories and minds, brainwash or manipulate weak-willed individuals, communicate telepathically, and even control victims' actions. This makes him an unpredictable predator, rendering anyone who encounters him helpless. He can also turn invisible or appear instantaneously. Only those aware of his existence can see him, giving the sense that he is always lurking and unstoppable. Pennywise's ability to manipulate his environment makes him even more frightening. A touch from him can kill plants, ruin objects, create storms, strange lights, or unusual phenomena to unsettle victims. He has superhuman strength and nearly unlimited regeneration, making physical injuries unable to truly kill him, only forcing him to retreat or resurrect. Moreover, his true essence, the deadlights, is a form of light that the human brain cannot withstand if looked at directly, causing madness or immediate death. Thus, Pennywise embodies a multidimensional, intelligent and ruthless entity, making him one of the greatest horror villains in literature and on screen. 4. Pennywise appears in other Stephen King novels. Although defeated at the end of It, King continued to include Pennywise in other works. In The Tommyknockers, when Tommy Jacklin passes through Derry, Maine, he glimpses a clown with eyes shining like silver coins hiding in a sewer. Many readers believe this refers to Pennywise, though the character does not appear directly. Additionally, in Dreamcatcher 2001 near Derry, signs of Pennywise's existence appear when a character discovers graffiti on a water tower reading "Pennywise Lives." Even without a direct manifestation, this detail suggests that Pennywise or a similar creature has not completely vanished. Such hints indicate that even when defeated, Pennywise persists as a shadow in Stephen King's universe, continuing to spread fear or at least remain memorably present. 3. The meaning of Beep Beep Richie. You may notice Richie Tozier is famous for talking excessively and teasing friends to the point where other Losers Club members have to find ways to tell him to be quiet. The phrase "Beep Beep Richie" arose as a playful signal to stop Richie's endless chatter, almost like the group saying, "Richie, stop it," or "Enough. Joking, Richie." The idea recalls a car horn or the meep meep of the Roadrunner bird, implying Richie runs his mouth non-stop and needs a beep to pause. 2. The Chinese restaurant scene took 3 days to shoot. The notorious Chinese restaurant scene in It is one of the most unforgettable horror moments. Eyeballs, blood, insects, and strange creatures suddenly erupt from the meal, creating a quintessential Stephen King nightmare. Filming this scene took 3 days with the cast and crew tense but creatively energetic. Amid the horror, Annette O'Toole entertained the crew by lying on the piano performing a sultry cabaret rendition of Big Spender, providing a strange but engaging contrast between fear and fun. These moments eased tension on set. 1. The screenwriter left and Stephen King did not participate in the film. One reason Stephen King felt the It project was in safe hands was that writing duties were assigned to Lawrence D. Cohen, who had scripted Brian De Palma's Carrie. Cohen and Romero were enthusiastic about adapting the novel into 10 episodes as it allowed them to explore the full depth of characters and subplots in the massive book. However, when ABC gradually reduced the plan from 10 episodes to 2 broadcast parts, Cohen began losing faith in the project. He eventually left, leaving most of Part 2's script for director Tommy Lee Wallace to rewrite. Many fans later remarked that Part 2 handled by Wallace did not reach the depth and quality of Part 1 crafted by Cohen. Additionally, Stephen King did not involve himself in production. Having gone mad with Hollywood during the 1980s due to incomplete adaptations of his work, King chose not to directly intervene in it. While he supported the miniseries and appreciated the production team's ambition, he had no authority over execution and admitted he did not expect much success from a television adaptation in fully capturing such a large novel. Ultimately, when the miniseries aired, King admitted he was surprised by the ambition and the level of horror the show achieved. Through these 20 facts, it's clear that Pennywise is a multi-dimensional entity, possessing powers beyond imagination, tied to mysteries such as the Deadlights, various names and inspirations from real life and pop culture. From Tim Curry's terrifying makeup cutscenes and behind-the-scenes trivia, to appearances in other Stephen King novels, each fact makes Pennywise more frightening and complex than ever. Which do you prefer, the 1990 It series or the fascinating behind-the-scenes facts? Share your opinion in the comments and express your thoughts on this iconic yet terrifying character. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch more explorations of classic characters and intriguing facts from film and literature.